Wow, the Nike stock market is really increasing right now.
This is a national news report. Nike is now outlawed to sell their shoes.
Wow, so I wasted all that money on my stocks.
Outspoken billionaire and NBA team owner Mark Cuban will be back in a Texas courtroom today as he fights insider trading charges. Willie's here with details on that. Willie, good morning.
Matt, good to see you. Good to see you guys. Opening statements scheduled for later today in the civil case that's turned into a knockdown, drag-out fight between federal regulators and the billionaire turned reality TV star.
Worst presentation ever. I'm out.
Often larger than life, billionaire Mark Cuban has crushed contestants on Shark Tank. Busted moves on Dancing with the Stars. But now, Cuban is walking into a different court in Texas as he faces federal insider trading charges.
I'm excited about this, finally, to come to court. I won't be bullied.
The Securities and Exchange Commission says Cuban committed fraud in 2004 after investing in a small internet search company called Mama.com. The SEC says Cuban sold his entire stake in the company, 600,000 shares, after learning the company's CEO was planning an offering of new stock. By selling when he did, the SEC says Cuban avoided losses in excess of $750,000. Cuban says he did nothing wrong, and any information he had was not confidential. The SEC's lead counsel says, "We look forward to the start of the trial." And Cuban says he is not backing down.
The thing I'm really looking forward to is shedding some sunlight on how the SEC works.
Cuban could face a penalty of about $2 million, a tiny fraction of his estimated net worth of $2.5 billion.
He has to be spending millions of dollars on a very high-powered legal team. He could have settled, but he clearly believes that there's more at stake here. He is out to prove a point.
7 women, 3 men were chosen as jurors. The trial is likely to last about 3 weeks, and Cuban is expected to testify, something he says he's excited to do. That $2 million fine, he's paid $1.5 million to the NBA in fines for criticizing and berating officials. Right. So it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah,
wow.
exactly. So much.
It's going to be interesting to follow that, though. No question about it. Willie,
That's
thank
reality.
you.
So here it is. All right. Hey, that's unethical.
Regulation is the establishment of laws and rules that dictate what organizations can and cannot.
Sometimes the government oversteps the boundaries of what most people would consider to be reasonable, usually when a small but vocal minority gets upset about a specific issue. While many of these regulations are laughable, they have often had real impact on real individuals and families. I'm Mike with List 25, and from fines to tax dollars, here are 25 stupid government regulations that'll make you shake your head. 25. Rain falls from the sky, freely. Some local or state governments have a problem with that. In 2012, a man in Oregon was sentenced to 30 days in jail for collecting rainwater on his property in a pond. In the state of Oregon, the government owns the rain, and you have to have a special permit to collect and hold it. Other states have laws against rain barrels, which is a huge plastic barrel, usually with an attached filter that's used to collect rainwater and then water gardens. The important thing to note is that the government can't charge for rainwater freely collected. 24. Even front yard lemonade stands aren't immune to overregulation. Sorry kids, they count as a business, and you need a permit for that, and professional equipment, and a stand that's up to local building code to sell lemonade. There are numerous stories of this happening all over the country, but one with a sweet ending is Annabelle Lockwood of California, who was told she needed $3,500 of professional restaurant equipment and a permit. A GoFundMe was set up, and the internet paid for the permit. But think of all the better things $3,500 could have been spent on. 23. There's a processed Franken meat known as turkey ham. It's processed bits of turkey and ham smushed together, and it's illegal to sell it with a label of ham turkey or to have the words ham and turkey in different fonts. Yep, not just illegal, it's a federal crime. 22. It's a federal crime to consult with a known pirate. A person known to be a pirate, not necessarily a person actively in the act of pirating. 21. Florida, accidentally banned all computers and smartphones in cafes. There's a problem in Florida with internet cafes basically being digital slot machines for old people to pour their money into. In an attempt to curb these questionable businesses, the state government passed a bill banning all internet cafes. This was great for students and people without computers. Thanks. And because of the way the bill was worded, it banned any internet-connected device in a cafe. If you're ever in a position to pass a law anywhere, please read it thoroughly. Twice. 20. A man in Phoenix, Arizona was fined and threatened with jail time for holding religious meetings in his home. Officials said it was a fire issue. So instead of their living room, they put up a small building in the back with proper permits. Then local government said he didn't have exit signs over the doors and safety ramps. Their demands continued until he owed them $12,000. Here's the issue. If he had a detachable garage and had, say, a birthday party, he wouldn't need these things. The government wouldn't care. There have been a few laws throughout the years that try to regulate what you can or can't do in your own home. If there are no regulations against parties and other social gatherings, why are there regulations against groups of people meeting to discuss their religion? 19. It's a federal crime to injure a government-owned lamp. The law specifically states lamps. 18. It's illegal to dump raw sewage in the ocean. Cool. Unless you have a permit. Not cool. Missing the point, perhaps? There are lots of things that are only wrong or illegal until you pay the local or state government for permission. 17. Parts of Florida require you to recycle, with fines up to $1,000 for a violation. While this is seemingly well-meaning, it's an example of big government enforcing their morals, even green ones, on everyone. And it just makes it gloriously easy to fine everyone a bunch of money. Other counties and other states have similar laws on the books. 16. Kansas has no love for cat ladies. In parts of the state, it's illegal to have more than 4 cats per household. So, what happens if your cat has a litter of 5 kittens? 15. If the city doesn't like your garden, they'll tear it down as you watch in tears. That's exactly what happened to a woman in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2012. The city code enforcer said her garden on her private property, causing harm to no one, was in violation of code because someone complained about her yard. The garden, including fruit and nut trees, was well cared for and was the unemployed woman's only source of income and most of her food. Before a judge would see her, the city ripped out her primary food source and livelihood because a neighbor complained. Kinda have to wonder how those people sleep at night. 14. In Mississippi, it's illegal to be the parent of 2 or more illegitimate children. It's a law that's been on the books since the 1940s, and while it's obviously not enforced, it could be. 13. Food trucks are a way for talented chefs and entrepreneurs to bring amazing food to the masses without insane overhead and startup costs. They're also bogged down by a lot of regulations and fees and permits. While this makes sense from a food safety point of view, some states are passing regulations that limit food trucks parking too close to other restaurants, allowing those restaurants to have a bit of a monopoly and making it harder for food trucks to stay in business. This is an example of government favoring a larger business and offering them protection from competition, known as protectionism. If you don't want the government in bed with big businesses, it starts at a local level with things like this. Let healthy competition happen and don't use the government to strong-arm your competition out of the market. 12. Texas passed a law in 2007 that required computer repair technicians to have a private investigator's license, which requires a specific degree and multi-year apprenticeship. Breaking this law could result in up to $14,000 in fines and a year in jail. While the author of the bill claims it's being misinterpreted, broad sweeping laws that are vaguely worded are horrible ideas because they have, historically, been used whenever someone has an axe to grind. It also calls into question whether or not the people who write these laws are properly knowledgeable in the field they're attempting to legislate. 11. Some human resources documentation must be held onto forever. Not 50 years, not 100 years, but forever. There are many companies in the US that are over 100 years old, and hopefully there will be more in the future. So employment applications and offer letters from 100 years ago must be retained, legally. 10. No zombie wine for you. It's a federal crime to sell wine with the word zombie in the brand name, specifically. 9. In Massachusetts, it's a law that children in daycare must brush their teeth after lunch. The government even provides, via tax dollars, toothpaste and toothbrush holders. Sure, it's a great idea and all, but a law implies the government will enforce it via jail time or fines. In case you're wondering where the term nanny state comes from, it's stuff like this. 8. It's a crime to bring undocumented pig semen across state lines to impregnate a pig. So if you're a pig farmer in one state, and your brother is a pig farmer in another state, and you want to crossbreed your stock, the government needs to be all up in the middle of that, with appropriate fees paid, of course. 7. In Washington, D.C., you have to have a license to give tours. Licensing and regulation protecting larger established businesses from competition and using government regulations to do so. Tour guides? Really? 6. In Vermont, it's illegal to deny the existence of God. That's pretty amazingly anti-American. Also in Vermont, if a restaurant uses colored margarine instead of butter, it must be noted on the menu in 2-inch high letters. 5. West Virginia has laws that prohibit sleeping on trains. What? There's another law that states if a train passes within 1 mile of a town or neighborhood, community, hobo camp consisting of more than 100 people, it must build a station and stop there regularly. Sounds nice, but what if you want to run a fast route direct shipping train that happens to run through parts of West Virginia? Oh well. 4. In the US National Forests, if you say something to someone that makes them hit you, you're at fault, not the hitter. Domestic abuse claims among campers must be fun to sort out. 3. Philadelphia decided a few years ago to crack down on businesses operating without a license, like bloggers. A $300 license, which was only $289 more than the woman had made from her blog in the last 2 years. Theoretically, business tax pays for the roads, etc., that allows a business to operate. However, The internet is maintained and run by private entities, so there's not a justification for a business tax on an internet-based business such as a blog other than give us money because we can make laws saying give us money. 2. Possibly the most well-known stupid government regulation. You can't buy or sell raw milk. Raw milk is straight from the animal. It hasn't been pasteurized or quick cooked. Yes, there's a small risk associated, but considering the amount of recalls in processed food for bacteria, raw milks is negligible. That doesn't stop the government from raiding Amish farms at 5 a.m. to tackle that dangerous milk issue. This can result in fines, arrests, or, the government seizing the farm. SWAT-like police raids on dairy farms. This is your tax dollars at work. 1. This isn't a regulation that's held, thankfully, but New York City tried to ban big gulps because, people are fat and eat too much sugar. While that's true that a lot of people are fat and do consume too much sugar, the government regulating your sugar intake isn't going to fix that. Fat people are aware that they're fat. This was just pointless regulation where some people thought that they knew better and should be allowed to force their idea of better on everyone using the government. If you're not free to make bad choices, provided you aren't directly harming anyone else, you aren't really free.
Hey coach, did I make the team?
No, sorry, you didn't. There was not enough room for the team. Sorry. Thank God she didn't make the team.
I know. She doesn't even look like any of the other players.
She has black hair. Like, why would you want someone with black hair on our team?
And brown eyes.
Yeah, like, that just does not go well together.
Collusion is an illegal agreement between two or more companies to commit a wrongful act.
ProFootballTalk.com. Mike, we knew when there was going to be a big injury to a quarterback, Colin Kaepernick's name was going to be in the news that very same day. But Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, and Kaepernick's name is in the headlines for a different reason. Explain why.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. Colin Kaepernick has filed a grievance alleging collusion on the part of the NFL in connection with the fact that he is not employed, all dating back to his decision to kneel during the national anthem in 2016. The last straw, I'm told, was the failure of the Tennessee Titans to show any interest whatsoever in Kaepernick. When Marcus Mariota, their starting quarterback, got injured 2 weeks ago, they brought in various guys for workouts. They rebuffed Kaepernick's interest. And I'm also told that what Kaepernick is looking for isn't just relief for himself. There's an obscure provision in the collective bargaining agreement that, in the event of sufficient proof of collusion, can cause the entire CBA to be terminated prematurely.
And that, no doubt, will be part of the conversation when NFL owners meet in New York on Tuesday. What
Thank you for your donation.
Philanthropic Giving is the awarding of funds or gifts to a charity or other worthy cause.
Founder and CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, announced that he would be donating 99% of his family's Facebook shares to charity. This ballooned his total contributions to an estimated $45 billion over the course of his life. It could end up being the largest financial donation in history. But in fact, this form of charity has become increasingly popular in recent years as the number of ultra-rich multi-billionaires continue to rise. So we wanted to know, who has donated the most money to charity ever? Well, one of the most known philanthropists is also the richest person on earth, Bill Gates. In 2008, the founder of Microsoft left his company to focus on philanthropy and pledged to donate 95% of his fortune to charity. Since then, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has established an endowment of more than $41 billion, making it the wealthiest charitable foundation in the world. Their primary focus is on improving healthcare and education, while reducing extreme poverty through grants to smaller localized charities. They also fund research and development of new technologies to help get clean water and sanitation services to regions in need. But while Bill Gates is perhaps the best-known philanthropist, he is not the most generous. It is in fact business magnate Warren Buffett. He began the recent trend of donating the bulk of one's entire fortunes to charity. In 2006, Buffett pledged nearly all of his then $44 billion estate to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This pledge, like Zuckerberg's, was reportedly made in shares of his company Berkshire Hathaway. However, Zuckerberg's $45 billion pledge may just end up surpassing both Gates and Buffett's contributions. Over time, Facebook's share price could increase, upping the total donation amount. But unlike the other two philanthropists, Zuckerberg's money is going to his own Chan Zuckerberg initiative. The foundation is not technically a charitable trust, but a limited liability corporation, meaning that the money does not actually have to be spent on charity. Some see this as unreasonable, especially since the goals of the organization are relatively vague, advancing human potential and promoting equality. Still, Zuckerberg, Buffett, and Gates have not only cleared the way for charity, but have also inspired others to donate significant sums of money. In 2010, Buffett and Gates started the Giving Pledge to encourage the ultra-rich to pledge at least half of their fortunes to charity. Many wealthy individuals have signed on, including Michael Bloomberg, Tim Cook, Larry Ellison, and more than 130 others spanning across 14 countries. While the top three are estimated to have pledged over $100 billion, the effort to convince others to give may have even more powerful effects into the future of charity. Part of the reason Zuckerberg was able to donate so much is because of his position at the helm of arguably the world's most powerful tech company. Learn more about Facebook's impact on the world in our video. Facebook isn't just about social media. The company has acquired a number of tech startups and continues to grow. In 2012, Facebook bought the image app Instagram for $1 billion, and 2 years later purchased the messenger program WhatsApp for $22 billion. The increased partnerships across different social media platforms have helped Facebook diversify. Thanks for watching TestTube News, everyone. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe so you get all of our new videos.